welcome to our seasonal guide to foraging wild foods. Woods, hedgerows and seashores are great places to find wild food and connect to the landscape. Wild foods are by nature full of vitality and nutrition. And we're now in the middle of autumn and there's an abundance of wild, free food. So many things are out and we're going to talk about the abundance that is out there. My name is Juliet Bryant and I'm nutritional consultant and I am the host for this evening. We have an amazing panel tonight that's going to go through some of the favourite things that are about right now. But I've got a few announcements first. Calling all gardeners. Do you have a pot plant, an allotment, a forest garden, a school or a business garden? And are you growing your plants veganically? Well, then it's time to join our veganic map. Let's show the world that we can grow our food without animal manure, fish, blood, or bones. By joining the map, you can connect with like-minded gardeners in your area and around the world. Whether you have a forest garden, an allotment, or just a pot plant, or if you're a school or a business, we welcome you to join us. So what are the benefits of joining our map? Well, we can do seed swapping, advice and skill exchange, meetups, product swapping, resources and allotment sharing. So get on the map, it's free. Go to veganorganic.net/join/map. So all of our shows are recorded so you can watch them on YouTube. Please do remember to like and subscribe to our channel. So some of the things that you can find out at the moment, there is, as I said, a plethora of things out there at the moment. And this is the time really of the nuts and the seeds. So we have a huge amount out there. We have berries, we have sloes, we have beech nuts, we have hazelnuts that you can get, rose hips. There's walnuts, sweet chestnuts are all out now as well. So lots of things. There's still a few blackberries around, lots of mushrooms about that you can get, hawthorn berries, and of course leaves from trees still. You can still find dandelions, yarrow, lots of things like that that we're going to be talking about. So look around you because there is an abundance all around. So I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful panel that is with us tonight. So we're going to start with John. John, do you want to introduce ourselves and tell us a little bit about the project that you're working on at the moment? Make sure you unmute, John. So John, whilst you figure out how to unmute, if we go to Joe, Joe, can we go to you whilst John figures out how to unmute? And if you want to tell us a little bit about your projects, Joe, that you're working on and introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, thanks, Juliet. Hi. Yeah, my name's Jo Barker. I'm a forest gardener and I practice permaculture. And I have a community interest company called Future Food Forests, and we're working with 3 community gardens across East Kent. We seem to be going into ethnobotany territory, working out other ways we can utilise the plants in our food forest systems.
Brilliant. And recently you made quite a remarkable salad, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yes, so I like making salads from the gardens. I look after, I don't know, between 3 and 5 gardens, and there's one in particular we make salads from every month. It's a way of keeping a record. So this is from late September, and we do find 50 to 100 things at this time of year. Well, actually, even up to 200 things in September, even actually over 300 things. So this is one of the most abundant times of year, and that particular salad, as you see, has got passion flowers in it, which are absolutely yummy, and it's full of all sorts of leaves. We sort of have a second spring in the middle of September towards the end, which is still, even now, we seem to be having quite a late summer across the country.
Yeah, and I saw some fuchsia flowers in there.
Yeah, loads of fuchsia flowers and berries.
Yeah, beautiful. And
You can
you've
eat the
got
berries
some,
as well. And
are those
spinach,
mallow flowers in there as well?
mallow, those are actually hibiscus. There's garlic chives there. There's lots of yarrow, spinach,
Have you got some
wild
fat
rocket.
hen?
Pardon? Fat
You
hen,
got
yeah.
some fat hen in there?
All the weeds are around now, the so-called weeds, chickweed, pretty much everything. I think almost everything's available right now, just about. We've got a
There's
little
so
window.
much at the moment.
Yeah, it's really abundant. Chives too there. So yeah, that salad's probably got at least 150 to 200 things in. We've stopped sort of making lists, but I can share those lists at some point. Our record is 325, and that was in May. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
That's brilliant. And as always, just for everyone to remember, if you are out foraging, make
yeah,
sure that you don't dig up the roots of the plants. You don't take from land that you're not allowed to. So you always have to ask permission if you're on private land and you're taking food from there. And one of the key rules for me is always make sure we leave enough for the animals. We're not greedy. It's so important. There's enough food out there for everyone, but we have to think of all the animals, especially now as the weather's getting colder. The animals really need their stores.
and the most important rule, I think, especially if you're new to foraging, is to be 100% sure of the plant you're picking.
Definitely.
That's the main rule. And if you're not sure, sometimes I'm not completely sure, and that's my only rule, but my main rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm 100% sure, and of course there's enough to share, and it's not got any pesticides on it or picking it in the right place, then sort of where away from the ground. Then it's good to pick.
Exactly. And look out for dog poo and things like that. You don't want to be getting it. And you can always, if you are picking and you're not sure about the environment, you can soak it in apple cider vinegar, salt, grapefruit seed extract. All of these things with water help to clean off any residual pesticides or maybe any pee
Yeah.
that might be on there. So that's always a good thing to give it a little clean with one of those things.
And it's also worth remembering that we can, when we don't wash it, we have this bacteria, good bacteria, and even B12 on some leaves, like apparently sea buckthorn. So not washing is really good when we can, but of course we have to be careful. I'm really excited about that we can get this other nutrition on leaves. I'd
Yeah.
like to know more about that.
Did you know that in an apple, if you freshly pick an apple from a tree, you have more probiotics on that apple than most shop bought probiotics?
I did not know that. That's so exciting.
It is, but once you wash it and a few hours after it's been picked, obviously they start to wear off. But there is that microbacteria on all our food, as you said, before it's washed. So when you can, eat it straight off the tree or plant,
Yeah.
straight in your mouth and get all the goodness. Amazing. Thanks, Jo. We'll look forward to hearing your choice and chatting a little bit later. Okay, over to John. Have we unmuted now? Have we got the unmute? There should be, John, at the bottom of your computer screen, a little thing that says mute, stop cam settings, and you just click the mute button, which is like a little microphone. Okay, maybe when you're back, when you've got it unmuted, if you type in the chat so that we know. And let's go over to Mark for now, and we will come back to you, John. Okay, Mark, can you unmute? Oh, everyone's struggling to unmute tonight. I know Mark's got some good stuff to talk about. He always does. Mark's always up to lots of great adventures, out foraging in the wilds, as we all are in this wonderful time of year. It's such a great time of year to be out there foraging. Oh, Mark is struggling as well. So I'll introduce Mark briefly. So Mark is a keen forager. And Mark leads foraging walks all over the country, in fact, in different locations in the West Country and also in the kind of East Anglian area. And Mark is very big on making teas from all the things he forages from all around. I hope I'm doing a good job, Mark, explaining you. So Mark is nature's knowing, and I'm sure Mark will unmute in a minute. So whilst he's struggling to unmute, why don't we go back to Joe? Joe and I can have a little chat about some of the other things we can find at this time of year, because there's so much amazing stuff. What I'm going to show you guys as well, look at this one. So this is one of my favorites. This isn't what I'm talking about today, but I really wanted to show you guys this. This is the false unicorn's horn, or also known as sumac. So sumac is a spice that's used in the Middle East in a lot of their dishes. It's very commonly used, and actually it grows over here. And it's the sumac. There's two different types of sumac. So this one here is the one for cooking, the one with these red kind of beautiful horns, and high in antioxidants. It's been used in the Middle East for kind of stews and mezes and all that kind of stuff. So it's brilliant. Have you ever had sumac before?
Yeah. Is that the lemonade tree?
Lemonade tree?
Yeah. Is it like a lemon substitute?
Yeah, so it's got a bit of a lemony taste. I've never heard of it as a lemonade tree, but what you do is you dry it and it's like a red powder, which then you sprinkle on hummus and stuff like that.
And it's got really soft fur on its branches.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. This is beautiful and velvety as well. And you can see there's little soft hairs on that.
It's funny, I thought you were going to bring a mushroom tonight, and I was thinking, God, I don't recognise that mushroom.
No, I haven't. It's actually not been wet enough for the mushrooms down here where we are.
It is late this year.
It's really late. So I went out for a bit of a walk, but they're not coming up. They will now after all the rain we've had today, but then they're not up. So in the next one, I'm going to be talking about mushrooms, but I'm not talking about mushrooms today. Joe, before we talk about our ones that we've chosen, what are some of your favourites right now?
Favourite things to eat, to forage?
Yeah.
Oh, well, today I had some Chilean guava, which I've never had before. So I was in Lancaster earlier at a forest garden that a friend had made. We were celebrating her life, and we were eating Chilean guavas, and that was so exciting to try something new. But lots of things like nettles are around again. They've got a second go now, and all the spinach and rocket, all the leaves again. What else did I see today? Loads of things like that. And
all our land has come back up.
Cotoneaster, pyracantha berries are so delicious.
They are.
They come with a little bit of a warning, but I think they're just everywhere, and they're really abundant. They're bright yellow and orange, and they're really spiky, so they're almost in every urban place. And Cotoneaster, I've had that today.
Yeah, the pyracanthus are so beautiful. Those bright orange berries, they're amazing. Great to make like a jam with. Okay, I think we got John back in, so we're gonna introduce John now. I think Mark's struggling to unmute, but John, let's have you introduce yourself.
He's still on mute.
He said he's back in the chat, but he still seems to be struggling to unmute.
Of course, we haven't mentioned nuts. Nuts and fruit are the big things right now, and mushrooms. They're the big three. Yeah. And this is their season. So I would have done chestnuts if I was still in Kent, but I'm up north at the moment. And it's quite a lot chillier up here. But chestnuts would have been the one, but there isn't any where I am.
And there's the hazel. John! Oh, where's he gone? John. Okay, do you want to introduce yourself, John?
Finally. Yes, I'm John Dale. I'm down in Cornwall, and we've got a little project called Willow Way, which is about 4 acres of land that we are growing to vegan organic principles, and basically starting up a fruit and herb farm, and also rewilding and creating a bit of a forest garden as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. How long have you had your land, John, now?
Well, it's coming on close to 4 years.
Brilliant. So it's all getting really established now, I'd imagine.
It's starting to come together, yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's great. That's really
trees
exciting.
Growing, and yeah, it's really starting to come together nicely.
What's your favourite thing to grow, John?
Well, that's a good question. I've planted up an orchard of about 80 fruit trees. So I really do enjoy planting and growing trees. Um, we have a polytunnel where we've had a really successful tomato crop, which are just absolutely nothing like I've tasted before, which is just a real treat. Also, I like to grow perennial kale because it's just such a nice crop to harvest all year round. And something that I'm going to be talking about tonight, which is roses.
Amazing. Well,
I've
we'll come
planted
back to you on the
yeah,
roses.
yeah.
So we're
I've also
just going
got
to
herbs as well. So yeah,
amazing.
all
We're
good.
going to introduce Mark, and then we'll come back to you in a minute to hear about roses.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John. Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, joy to believe everyone. So yeah, technical side of stuff. So I'd much rather be out in nature than the techie side, but this is how it is. Yeah, so I'm Mark. Yeah, and thank you for your introduction about me, Juliet. I could hear that.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I'm Mark, and I love to share forage walks, just being connected with nature, tea ceremonies, tea tasting, and just being in nature. There's so much out there, and as Joe was saying, so you can get 300 and something flowers and leaves in a salad. So the invitation is for all of you guys to go out there and do that. And so this is something I love to share. So you're welcome to connect with me at nature'sknowing.fun, and I'm also on Telegram and most of the other social medias. Though obviously I prefer to be in nature, so not always necessarily a quick response.
And tell us about, do you have any walks coming up, Mark?
Not at the moment. Potentially, I'm moving around. Potentially November, maybe around the 10th or 11th in North Wiltshire. But I will post that out. So if anyone in North Wiltshire, bear that in mind that weekend. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, free flowing as usual, and enjoying nature's abundance right now.
Brilliant. Wonderful. And where can people find out about your walks, Mark?
They can either find out on nature'sknowing.fun website, or you can connect with me on Telegram, WhatsApp, Instagram at Nature's Knowing.
Amazing. Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. And look forward to hearing about your plant in a minute. So I'm really excited. One of the projects that I'm working on at the moment is my Plant Wisdom Mentorship. And this is my newest project, which is really exciting. It starts in January, and it's a year-long online course with me where we're going to journey deeply into plants, connecting to them physically, but also energetically. So you can really start to connect into the joys and abundance of nature and how we can make medicines and work with them on such a deeper level. So if anyone's interested, check out julietbryant.com and you can find out more information about it there. Now, on to tonight's amazing array of foraging delights that we've got for you. So we're going to start with John, and John is going to be talking about roses. So John, over to you and roses.
Hey guys, yes, roses are one of my favorite plants, flowers out there. I just love roses, and funny enough, they are the symbol of love. They also symbolize the goddess, and they are originally from Persia. And there's two, I just love the scent of them, and some of them actually just smell like Turkish delight, and you just feel like eating them off the plant. There's also the two ways that I like to use them are the hips and the flowers or the petals. The hips are full of vitamin C, and very high in vitamin C, in fact. And the petals are calming. They're an anti-anxiety, and it's also the plant with the highest vibration. You can make a nice syrup, a jam, rose water, or you can dry the petals to make a tea. And I've got some that I've just harvested from my garden today, which is like the 12th of October, and just the color of that is just incredible. So those petals can be dried, or they can and then made into a tea, or they can be made into a syrup or a rose water. And just the beautiful colors that they come in, the various colors. This is some red ones from a different plant, and then there's pink ones. I've got purple, yellow, white, different shades of pink, red. And then the hips that I talk about are when the flower drops off, the petals drop off on the plant, it forms this little these little things which are called rose tips, and they ripen up to form this sort of shape, and they are the ones that are absolutely packed with vitamin C. And then you also get let's see what that shape as well. So these are the ones that are really, really juicy, and they actually grow all over. You can forage them in wild. They grow on the beaches down here in Cornwall, and basically just nibble around the edges on them. In the middle is a lot of fiber, and you really don't want to be eating that, basically. Or if you cook them up to make a syrup or a jam, you basically push them through a muslin cloth, and that will separate the fiber away. And you add pectin to set it, and sugar. So yeah, there's a lot you can do with roses, and they just bring me a lot of joy, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who are watching can relate to that. So yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. I love roses. They're so special. And one of the things that I think is so magical is seeing them on the side of the road at the moment, just these bright, vibrant red rose hips. It's just phenomenal. So thank you for bringing that. And it's incredible you've still got so many flowers out.
Yes. It's a second flush of flowers, basically. Yeah.
Amazing. Beautiful. So does anyone else want to share any wisdom about the beautiful rose? Jo?
Just to say, as a real foraging treat, you can eat them, but you need to not eat the seeds because they're like itching powder. You're eating one now. You just nibble the flesh around, and they're super sweet and delicious.
They definitely are. You definitely do not want those seeds because that's what they use for itching powder. So you keep it away from your throat or it gets scratchy. But roses, my father used to always tell me that in the wartime, he had to go out and collect rose hips so that they would make rose hip syrup on a regular basis. And I think this is such an amazing thing. You know, it's our richest source of vitamin C in this country. So we really need to be utilizing this to support us in that transition of the seasons.
I did find out that because I thought elderberry would be better because it's super good. But apparently they chose rose hips in the war because it was more easy for them to identify.
And the elderberries don't have the vitamin C. They're high in anthocyanins, which is the purple pigment, which is an antioxidant, which is incredible for the immune system and antiviral. But on the vitamin C thing, the rose hips have the kind of, they've got the highest in this country, which is amazing.
It is delicious.
Mark, did you want to share anything about the beautiful rose?
Yes, I would. Yeah, just to say as well, I find I dry some as well for the winter time because obviously, I mean, I've seen them hanging on till even February time, the rose hips. But normally I dry some, and I create a berry mix as well as a decoction, so that is simmering along with sloes and hawthorn berries, and there's another berry as well, or an elderberries. And also you can put, I don't know if someone said that already or not, but you can, I do put them in the rose hips into cider vinegar as well. And you can leave that for a few weeks. And you can have you can use it many ways, but you can use it as salad dressing come summertime. So it's a different alternative to, what's out there. And of course it's all from nature. So it's a win-win.
Brilliant. One of my favourite things to make is fire cider. And fire cider is apple cider vinegar, and then you put in what I put in. The traditional fire cider's got slightly different things from me, but I put in hawthorn berries, rose hips, elderberries, blackberries. I put in horseradish, garlic, ginger, chilies, and you just leave it in there for 6 weeks, and then you strain it, and you've got, as you said, you can use it as a salad dressing, you can use it for so many different things, but it's one of the best immune supports for our body and gut supports. Okay, over to Jo. Jo, over to you for your amazing plant to share.
Well, I wanted to share apple, and it just feels like a really obvious one that hopefully everybody knows, but it's so abundant right now, and there's many hedgerows with it in, and many gardens. And what I've noticed is that lots of people might have apples in their garden or live near orchards, but they don't really realise how useful it is. But anyway, I just wanted to share that it's good because you can eat the fruits and it's delicious. Quite a lot of apples can be stored. Some of them can be stored for the whole winter, so it's worth gathering them now. We can also eat the young leaves and the flowers, and often it's an easy way to spot where apple trees are growing in the spring, because the flowers stand out so much when they're in the hedgerows. So just to say some of the things we can do with apples, because there's so much more. I did some research and I found over 100 things that you can do with apples, like juicing them for their apple juice. We can dry them, apple rings, and there's lots of different ways to dry them. We can puree them, we can bake them, we can make the puree and freeze it. Fire cider was one of the things, obviously making cider, and then fire cider is something I've never made. I've been meaning to do that, hopefully this year. What else? You can make jams with it as well, and chutneys. And of course, the apples that we don't eat are good for the creatures that are around. What else do I want to say about that? Oh yeah, it's very medicinal. It is related to, it's the same family as rose, as is hawthorn and cotoneaster, and it has some of the similar medicinal benefits. It's really good for our digestion as well, and it's a natural laxative. I think eating the pips, it's got a bit of cyanide in, but apparently that a little bit is good, but too much isn't good. But I think that's a good thing to have. We can use the oils as well. I don't quite know how to do that, but it makes a really good stretch mark oil, and it's meant to be anti-carcinogenic, I've heard. So there's a huge amount we can do with apples. So that's one that's good to notice. Where I live in Kent, there's lots of orchards, and there's this sort of, we have this understanding with most of the farmers that when they've harvested the apples, what's left, especially the ones on the ground, generally they're happy for us to take. So we can just go and take loads of bags full. So if you live near orchards, you can ask your farmer, but that's generally accepted. Gleaning, that's called, or scrumping we used to do when we were kids, in neighbours' orchards if they weren't eating them. But a lot of people just don't eat their apples, but I think it's worth trying storing them. There's quite a lot of cooking apples available now. Now is peak apple time anyway. I think that's all I need to say about apples right now.
Amazing.
Yeah,
thank you.
amazing.
Apples are incredible, and they're such an amazing thing. We've had a question. Do you need to pasteurize apple juice if you're freezing it? I personally don't like pasteurizing apple juice because that's killing off a lot of the good bacteria that's there, which is so important for it. So it's good to keep it in its natural state as much as possible. Pasteurizing, I don't like to do for anything personally. What's all your take on that?
Well, it's like you were saying earlier about the apple, the skin, picking them and eating them, having the probiotic bacteria on the skin. And it's the same thing, isn't it? It's more nutrition and more life for us. So the less we process things, the more close to nature. That's why it's good to go out and eat things straight off the trees if we can. And then the next best thing is to store them. I wouldn't ever pasteurize things unless I was making jams or syrups for for the bottle. Oh.
Look at those
Nice pair of
beautiful
apples
apples.
you've got there, John.
I mean, apples, you know, apples are also very, very good for our liver. They're high in pectin, and so they help our liver to function better. And they're one of the best remedies if you've got an upset stomach. Making apple puree helps your stomach amazingly. So it's also, apples are really good for the respiratory system. So if you've got a cough, fresh apple juice is one of the best remedies for that too. Does anyone else want to share some amazingness about apples? John or Mark?
Yes, I would. I just love apple season. As you can see me messing about there. I've got all different varieties of apples that I find and store and enjoy, and yeah, just stock up for the winter. And they're in such abundance, I usually give them away to friends. And I agree with what you're saying about the pasteurizing yet. Yeah, I try to eat as much raw food in its whole food state, and juice it when I can if I need to. But yeah, try not to pasteurize. But some apples obviously are cooker varieties, so they make really nice pies and crumbles. They're a bit too sour to kind of eat raw. And what else? Yeah. Does anybody have an apple cider vinegar recipe? I think that might be interesting, or we could always look it up.
Yeah, it's
I
very
know
easy.
you do a beautiful fire cider, Juliet, which I'll make.
It's very easy
But
to make.
I'd really like
Apple cider
to make
vinegar.
my own apple cider.
Yeah, so all you can do is add the peels and the cores into a bottle with water, and it will just ferment. So it's very easy to do. So it's a great thing to start doing. And please do, if you're watching this, please do leave us comments, ask your questions in the chat. Be great to hear from you all. So do put your comments in if you've got any questions. That would be great.
Bye.
Okay, Mark, did you want to say anything about apples?
Yeah, I've not done it, but I have read that you could use a poultice of the apples for if your eyes are inflamed. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I was just curious about, that for inflamed eyes. And they can heal wounds as well. But again, it's nothing I've experienced, but it's something to put out there. And there's so much that we don't even know. But we do know on a deeper level, but there's so much to explore and to have fun with that, to see what we can do, because everything is in nature, as we know.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Amazing. I've got a little pickle here who likes going foraging with me, don't you?
And I like sitting on
You like sitting on, but you like going foraging. Do you remember what we collected recently? We went and got some yarrow, didn't we?
Oh yeah, remember about the healing bomb?
Yeah.
Well, I forgot all about that.
I'm training up a young forager here, and we've collected some yarrow, and we're going to make a yarrow oil to then make a balm with. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you,
We
Mark.
might send it to you guys.
Yes, we'll send it to them. Mark, over to you. Do you want to share with us now your plant?
Yeah, so it's not actually a plant. I'm talking about a tree, which is going to be oak. So more specifically, what's out right now is obviously the abundance of acorns. Now, we see oak trees everywhere, so there's an opportunity to create from acorns, and there's so much you can do with patience. That's one thing I would say. This is obviously such a majestic tree as well. So in my experience, to create acorn powder, and there's many ways you can do this. I think that the fun of it is to explore that. Obviously, you can check online for stuff. I've done it. I've played around with different ways each year. But it's so beautiful to create the powder, and therefore you can make flour obviously with it. You can put it into a tea if you wanted to. That's just showing you the leaf, and you can use the bark as well of the acorn. It's so there's the acorns there, and obviously you'll find so many dropping off, and just gather so many of them. when you see a whole host of them. When they're in that brown, you can see the green and the brown. So you're looking for when they're going to that brown, preferably when they've fallen off. Again, look for make sure it's a clean area as well. So there is just slicing up in half. Again, there's many ways you could boil them beforehand. There's a lot of tannins in acorns, so you need to simmer them over and over again. But there's many other ways you could do it a cold way. Potentially another way, if you know it's in a really clean area, is you could put them in a bag in a free-flowing clean stream and allow that to do it. It will take a bit longer, but it's kind of a nice natural nature way to do that. So it's, I think with anything with the I think I should have a picture actually of the powder as well. You can just see that. I just pestle and mortar it up, and again it can be a long process to get this creation, but the invitation is for people is to go out there and have an afternoon together and do that and have some fun doing it. You know, it's to be enjoyed, all this. And as I said, it's a great patience tester. So just enjoy that flow of slowing down and just being, and just being immersed in the energy of an oak tree as well. Just slow down and be there. It's so beautiful. I'll just touch on as well with the oak tree, because you can, I have small twigs I've again used for cleaning the teeth. So you just fray the end and you can do that. So again, anything, as I see, a lot of things have been man-made, created, or originally always derived from nature. So again, I've explored that of just clean my teeth because they're antiseptic, and they're really good for toning, tightening the whole mouth and gums area. They're really good for that area because they're very stringent. But again, that's when you see a stringency, you know that it's going to be good for any. So you've essentially got diarrhea, that kind of thing. It can really obviously help with all of that. So it's very beautiful. And the leaf as well, I have drunk as a tea. People have made it as wine if you choose to go down that way. And as far as I remember, it is antimicrobial as well. And I've also made I make a toothbrush powder mix, and acorn bark is a part of that as well. So again, there's so much you can do with the oak tree, and so it's not necessarily just about food and tea. There's so much more practical ways you can do with it. And also always give thanks for the tree being there. It's just being, and it's freely giving, and always be grateful for that and nature's abundance.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Oak trees are magnificent. And one of the things that's so interesting is people used to settle way back when always by an oak tree because they knew it would provide them with that staple nourishment of the acorns as a staple flour that was used. So it's quite remarkable, isn't it, that people have always gathered under the energy of the oak. They've sat under the tree, they've come together and communed, and I think that's a beautiful thing about the oak. Does anyone else want to share anything about the oak tree? Joe?
Oh, thanks for sharing, Oak. As part of future food forests, planting oak trees for the future is a real key one for our creatures too. I like eating them raw. I'm a bit of a foraging grazer. I introduced John to some that were in my pocket the other day. So I like to try them. There's tannins in acorns, and some of them are very low in tannin, and are actually quite nice to eat just raw. But we do need to rinse the tannins out. Acorn flour is really sweet and delicious. And I know my father lived in the war as a child, and that's one of the things that he survived on. And it's seen very much as a famine food in a lot of places, not in this country, but in other countries. It's still known as a food. Obviously, acorn coffee is another thing. But a really important one for our future and agroforestry.
Brilliant. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jo. John, did you want to share anything about the acorn, the oak?
I just want to agree with what you guys have all just said. It's a magical tree, and they're around for hundreds of years, and they're just full of wisdom. And yeah, I just love them, and I've got a few little saplings that it reminds me I need to get them in to the ground. I think they're ready to go in. So I've planted quite a few already, but
Amazing.
yeah, for future generations.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I think it is one of those things, isn't it? It gives us that, for me, it's the oak tree gives us that strength, that determination, that solidity, you know, and that real groundedness. I think the oak in the bark flower remedies is about that internal strength.
Yeah.
So beautiful one.
Can I just add, thinking about other beings that forage, like the oak tree is meant to have associations with nearly 300 creatures, especially when it's dead wood, which I think is the most out of all plants. So that's really nice, because we talk about sharing it with all of nature. And that's something I know a lot of people interested in vegan organics. We think about all the other beings too. So that's a nice one to remember with oak.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, over to me now. I am going to talk about hawthorn tonight. So this is one of my favourites, the hawthorn. This is a beautiful hawthorn that I've got in my garden. Look at those beautiful red berries, how incredible they are. There's a little video. Dan, if you could play the little video now, that would be amazing.
One of my favourite things at this time of year is seeing these beautiful red berries. As you can see here, we've got these beautiful shaped leaves, vibrant green. And then next to them are these lovely berries. Now inside this berry is a stone, so you have to be careful when you're eating it. But don't eat the stone, obviously. This beautiful flesh is edible. These berries have so many incredible properties, which we will talk about in a minute. This is the beautiful leaf, and that is the berry. That is the hawthorn, Crataegus monogyna.
Hello. So hawthorn, as Jo mentioned earlier, this is actually in the rose family, as is the apple, as is the rose. So 3 out of the 4 we've talked about are all from the same family, which I find remarkable, all done by chance, not on purpose. So hawthorn is one of the best medicines for the heart. There have been many, many studies to show how incredible it is for supporting a healthy heart. There's also been a lot of studies showing that it's very high in anti-inflammatory properties. It's been shown to support the liver. It's been shown in Chinese medicine, the hawthorn berry is used to treat high blood pressure. Is very good for supporting the walls around the heart. It's also very good for helping with cholesterol and the pectin. This is very high in pectin, so the pectin in this is very good to help regulate cholesterol levels. So another really amazing thing. There was a study done which is very interesting, where they used hawthorn and they compared it to the standard heart medication that's out there, and the hawthorn actually in these tests did better than the standard heart medication. Now, you can't take hawthorn at the same time. I mean, obviously, if you're just eating a few berries, it's fine, but you can't take it in a medicinal form at the same time as taking other heart medications. So you have to be aware of that. The hawthorn berry has also been used for centuries to treat digestive disorders, indigestion, stomach pain, bloating. It's a very high in prebiotics, so it's nourishing the bacteria and helping it really grow in a lot better way. So it's used to aid the digestion. It's said as well that used on the skin, it's very good for helping aging. So it's helping stop excessive sun damage or that ultraviolet light exposure on the thin skin. So it's very, very good on that level to support aging. Also, recently, it's been shown to reduce anxiety. Now, this is something I think that's really interesting, because we're looking now at a world where so many people are struggling with anxiety. And this beautiful thing here, this berry, has been shown to help. Now, with the hawthorn, You can eat the leaves. They're not so nice when they get older, but in May time, the May blossom, the hawthorn's got beautiful white flowers. You can eat the flowers, you can eat the leaves, and you can eat the berries that are just out now. I like to make tinctures with them. So a few of my workshops, we made a tincture in May, which we then let sit, and we strained that tincture, which was done with the flowers and the leaves. And then we made a second tincture with the same first batch of alcohol. We put the berries in and let those berries infuse. So then you've got a tincture that's using all of the properties of the hawthorn, which is just remarkable. So when you're looking at it physically, as I said, it does all those things, but energetically, it's really working with us to open up our heart, to connect us into that space of giving and receiving love. So it's very beautiful for that gentle healing. It's very good to help heal grief as well. So this is a really lovely way that you can work with the flower essence of it, working more with the kind of vibrational energy of the hawthorn. So a little bit about hawthorn from me. I could go on and talk about it for ages, but let's open it up. Does anyone else want to share anything about the amazing hawthorn? Jo?
I always want to say something, don't I? I actually have known about the heart thing for a long time, and I love that it's emotional and physical. And I've met a couple of people that have gone off statins and gone on to hawthorn, with one of them with their doctor's support.
Brilliant.
And they were in their 70s, and they said it was like 80% as good as the statins. And it was only when they hit their mid 80s that they needed to get that medication changed. So that's an antidotal. But I have been meeting more people who want to find alternatives, because there's so many side effects to statins. Whereas I think hawthorn's an adaptogen, isn't it? It can do what your body needs. It adapts to what's needed, which I think is a beautiful thing the natural plants can do, that I don't think mainstream chemical medicine can do that in this sort of way, which is why this is such a lovely thing to try anyway. And I think the hawthorn's quite a safe one to, if I'm understanding right, it's one of the safest ones to do. So I also, sorry, just to say, it's a good one to graze. I love just picking hawthorn berries and eating them as I'm walking around. They're like little apples.
Definitely. And it is, as you said, it is very safe. Obviously, if you're on medication, always check any contraindications. It's really important. But for me, turning to nature is a first port of call. Let's see what we can get, see what support those natural things can do, because, they have been tried and tested, most of them, for thousands of years. We have anecdotal evidence. Someone's just said a traditional Chinese sweet are haw flakes, thin discs of dried haw pulps, but they didn't know they had so many benefits. So many traditional foods have these amazing benefits, and now science is following along with this anecdotal evidence, which I think is just what is so remarkable. And if we can start off, see if the natural ways can help, that for me is the key. Anyone else want to share anything about hawthorn? Mark?
Yeah, just I don't know if you touched on it. I mean, today I just put some in some cider vinegar. Again, there's just there's many ways to do this. This way you can be creative and have fun to explore many ways. Obviously, as long as you're definitely harvesting safely. And also just to sort of say that being aware of when you're gathering or harvesting any plant or part of a tree, so in this case, like hawthorn, just notice, be present and observe. You might notice, first of all, that the berry is quite a brightish red, and then it goes into a beautiful deep red, like the colour of the blood. So hence why it has that way, good for circulation as well. So just have that observation when you're around any plant or tree, and then you get to know. And it's beautiful to get to know and then be in that energy and frequency of the tree or the plant. So and hawthorn really is beautiful, and the flowers, I don't know if that's been touched on, are a sedative as well, which is, so for those who want a nice tea before bed, you can certainly put hawthorn into the mix, the flowers.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Yes, they're very soothing and calming, which is lovely. John, did you want to say anything about hawthorn?
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with what you guys have all just shared already. Just a beautiful tree and beautiful fruit. You do get some varieties of hawthorn that are a bit bigger, and they are more juicy. I'm not too sure what the actual name of the species is, but yeah. And also, like when you're processing them and taking the pits out, your hands get a bit sticky, and it feels like, oh, this is a bit of a chore. But then what actually gets left on your hands, if you rub it into your hands like a cream, it just disappears, and it feels like you've put the most amazing cream on your hands, and it's just an absolute bonus. So yeah, I just thought I'd add that to it. Yeah,
that's where, John, it's
you
getting
don't
those
need to buy
anti-aging
things.
properties. I'm getting that
You
anti-aging
don't need to
property
buy
on my
creams
skin.
from a
Exactly.
jar or anything. It
Amazing.
comes in nature, free.
Brilliant. So we've had a
So yeah, it's
question
just
that's come up.
taking advantage of the times of year when different plants are in season, and yeah, just making the most of them. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. So we've had a question. Would they retain their beneficial qualities if the berries are cooked? Yeah, so hawthorn does retain its many of its properties. Obviously, some of the antioxidant properties are going to be destroyed in heat, but a lot of them remain. So you can still hold a lot of them if you're making a jam to preserve it. Tinctures obviously won't, and apple cider vinegar decoctions won't destroy those antioxidants. So, you know, you can do different things with them, and I think that's what's amazing, is make some jams, make some chutneys with them to store and have over the winter, make some of the apple cider vinegar fire ciders and put it in there, you know, have some tinctures, so you've got the medicines coming from all different aspects, because it's like the mushrooms, you know, you heat mushrooms and you get certain properties, and then you you make a tincture and you get other properties. So if we can work with them in different ways, then we're getting that whole cross section of nutrients coming in. So I just want to say thank you all. Thank you to the wonderful panel, to Joe, to John, to Mark for being here and sharing your amazing wisdom. It's been a great pleasure. And please do remember to sign up to the Vegan Organic Network newsletter to keep updated of the amazing growing revolution that's going on. And if you haven't got a copy already, there's the amazing Vegan Organic Network magazine, the Growing Green International, which is great, which all of us, I think, have written in. It's full of stories, advice, and amazing information. So do check that out. And again, thank you so much to everyone here. And thank you to all the people watching and making your comments and questions. It's great to have that interaction from you all. So a farewell from all of us here, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks. And thanks to Juliet as well. And Dan in the background.
My mini forager.
Bye.
Vegan Organic Pet Network. Yeah. I love you. Scissors. I've been cutting my hair.